Okie doke. We are live. And let me just make sure that our feed is correct. There we go. Verified. Check. Yay. All right. So if you're new to me, I am Mary Aldrich, and I am here today chatting with Melissa Randall. Melissa's one of my Supermom School members, has been this year. And I'm so excited to have her on just to chat about her experience and what's worked well and what hasn't, if she wants to share any of that too. And so welcome. Thank you for taking the time to do this, Melissa.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Yay. So let's talk a little bit for those of you, those people here who don't know who you are. Tell us a little bit about, like, how many kids do you have? What's your family situation? That sort of thing.
Sure. So I have 3 children, 8, well, almost 9, 7, and 4, going on 5. I live with my husband, Patrick, in Ashburnham, Massachusetts. We just moved in here about a year ago.
Nice.
In the country spot that we love. And we started homeschooling. I was one of the COVID homeschoolers. So not super sure, and that just tipped us over. And so we just finished up our second year homeschooling, and it's been great. Good choice.
Yay. Yeah. That's awesome. Yay. I'm celebrating your just finished up 2 years.
Yeah. So are we.
Good to be done.
Yes.
That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about Supermom School. Actually, before we talk about that, let's talk about what made you want to join. Where were you at the beginning of, I know we've worked together before. So let's just talk about this year for right now. Where were you at the beginning of this year? What made you kind of want to step into this and do something different? Some things like that.
Yeah, so I think the beginning of this year, homeschool was definitely a new element that we had added, and that just all the stuff that was kind of already present with family, sibling conflict, and my own, like, trying to organize our days, and all of that was just heightened with the addition of school. And so I think things weren't like crashing and burning. It was not like, oh, I'm drowning and must survive somehow, but there were certainly days that felt like drowning, and a fair number of them. And a lot of what I think was happening was, like, I was seeing pretty clearly, like, how I was contributing to the conflict and the stress and everything, and just wanting to have the sort of built-in reminders of stuff that I already knew some of. Just had a hard time remembering myself in the middle of a stressful day. And I think I also, I had some hesitations too, because I think I had this idea that, like, I just have to find the thing. I need the thing that's going to work so everything works, and worried that, like, what if the thing doesn't work, or what if I sabotage it along the way? So it was kind of messy.
Yeah, that sounds pretty normal.
But also clear that I knew that I did better when I had support built in, that I didn't have to ask for in the moment. It was just there.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to sign up for. And we'll talk more about what happened, but, like, with sort of expectations, and then what came in, like, that all worked out as part of what I needed anyway.
That's awesome. Yeah, we'll get to that in just a second. I do want to pull out one thing that you said, which I think has been, I've talked to other people before and have said similar things, is like realizing that we need support that's there when we don't want to ask for it. Like, when we're not in the place where we really can reach out, it's there already. We've already set that in place. That's important. It's important to have that already set up if you really want to live life well, it seems.
Definitely. And I know that it's the times when I need it most is when I'm likely to ask for it least.
Absolutely. Yeah. Right. And it's so valuable to know that, right? Like just to be aware that that's the dynamic and like, okay, this is how it is now. Now what am I going to do about it? Can be so valuable. Yeah. So, all right. So you got in knowing you needed some support. You got the homeschooling dynamic, how to navigate that. And then, so what happened? So what things changed? What's different?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's get into that and
Yeah, I
find
think,
what you needed, that sort of thing.
well, the biggest shift I think that happened was I just stopped worrying about where I am right now.
Right.
And
That sounds so simple, right?
I know, it does.
We all
But
know it's not.
it was also kind of like future focused. I mean, as far as like, I got to figure it out. It's out there somewhere. And once I can sort of like streamline all this mess, then I will arrive at some place that feels really good and clear and,
Yeah.
you know, energized and patient and all of these things. And
Well, and I just
and
want to clarify, because I think what you're talking about when you say streamline all this mess, I think some of the things you're meaning are things like streamline the schedule and get my house organized and make sure that our meals are planned. Like, is that what you're talking about? Like,
very much daily minutia
yeah.
that what doesn't go away, but just felt like it was crowding out everything else that I would have wanted to add in or eliminate or whatever, just those things that just they keep being there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, like, I guess what has been the biggest practice in having the built-in check-in, the built-in like ability to hear myself out loud, like my brain.
That's a great way to explain it. Hear yourself out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, that happens because you're reflecting it back. And, there's just the back and forth that makes it not just my own spinning thoughts. But in that, learning how to like find evidence of what is going really well and what growth is happening and celebrate those things before it feels like they're true. Because before, I think I would just wait for the feelings to come that would then just bubble up into
They're gonna just spontaneously bubble.
Yeah. And it's amazing. I mean, it feels like it's been a new habit that I've developed of like, it doesn't mean that I never feel overwhelmed. It doesn't mean that we don't have hard days, but like the recovery time is so much faster. And the ability to just like, okay, like I can feel overwhelmed without that needing to be the end of the story, and have it like not even be that big a deal. But just like, all right, okay. So, what else do I already know in this situation? Not a surprise that this, that the day feels tough or whatever, but I know things now that I didn't know before, that I know how to get out of that, or I know how to know that God is using that very thing in the moment.
Easier to see.
Like,
yeah.
Like there was one time this year, which we talked about, of, like some really painful, awkward, heavy conversation that just happens sometimes in marriage and everything else. Like, oh, I just have to work through this issue. And it just, after the fact, I was able to see how good it was. Like,
yeah,
it didn't have to feel good for it to be so good, and so much evidence of growth and strength and perseverance and and unity and just all these things that like I could easily have seen it as like, oh, that could have gone better. But now it's like, well, that was perfect because this is where we're at. And it just, it makes the day to day, like I have more confidence that I'm right where I need to be, and I'm right where God has me, and he's with me here and not waiting for us to like get our act together before he's gonna work. And that's true for me and my kids and everything.
And it's a pretty common thing for us to do. We don't even realize that that's what we're doing. Like, as soon as I can get my act together, then God can work with me. But I have to get myself to that place first. That's such a common thing. I think you've hit on a couple of things that are so important for a lot of people. And that the two would be the comment that you made about getting the results faster, that it's not really that problems quit coming. It's not really that we get to the place where we don't have circumstances that are challenging, but if they knock us over, we get back up a lot quicker, right?
Yep.
Like the time period is so much shorter than it used to be. And that, such a benefit to life. And then the other one that you mentioned that I think is so valuable is in talking about those painful situations that you see like, oh, this was actually really good. I think, and you tell me if you agree with this or not, but at first choosing to celebrate those things is not easy. It feels so weird and like wrong almost to do that. But I think what you're talking about is that you got to the place where it was the response that you had. Like you didn't have to conjure it up. It wasn't something that you had to say, now I'm supposed to be happy about this, or I'm supposed to be grateful. It was that was the response. Is that accurate?
Definitely. Yes. And I think because of the like unnatural practice, like, okay, there's something here.
Yeah.
I'm sure of it. Mary keeps saying so. That those could come in like super small feeling ways, like things that felt silly to celebrate, like I did the dishes before I went to bed, that those very practical things were kind of the things that made it feel like, oh, like I notice it more. And the things that I've asked God for, I'm not waiting for like a big explosion of like, suddenly it's true. But like, oh, see that I was consistent about this thing that I've been asking for consistency for. And it was this big. But like when you get a whole bunch of those, it starts to feel like it's a really true thing.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you've talked a little bit about what are the changes that are like, what things are different. And we talked a little bit about the mindset. Is there anything else that you feel like has really contributed to those changes? Besides some of those mindset shifts that we've already discussed?
I think maybe the confidence that I can change course if I need to, like that has shifted too with, I mean, we sort of worked through my like be good at homework mentality. I'm supposed to do this thing. I'm supposed to be good at whatever, ABC. So I got
supposed to check off the list of all the things. Yeah.
Right. So it just, when there are practical tips or solutions, having the confidence to like, I can try new things. And then I can decide if it's a good fit or not. And if it's not a good fit, no problem. But it's like, doesn't keep me from trying, and it doesn't keep me from shifting if I want to try something new. And that has been a big, mentality shift for me too this year.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I can totally relate to I want to get good grades. I want to check all the boxes. I want to do all the homework, and almost to the detriment of the actual progress that needs to be made, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we're missing the boat. That's
right.
yeah. So that's good. That's a great awareness. Great awareness. So let's shift gears and talk about, how does the experience that you're having, the transformation in your life, how does that exponentially end up impacting your family, your kids, people you're around? Do you see changes in their lives as a result of the work that you're doing?
I do. Yes. I think the quick recovery idea, I definitely see, of just, as I've been working on my own stuff and with the kids, I can see that there's more confidence that, like, if we have a tough day, we know we're going to get through it, and tomorrow's another day. And it doesn't have to mean that something's wrong with me or them, or I don't know. In that moment, it's just, okay, we are a family that gets mad at each other sometimes, and then we apologize and we come back together and we don't give up.
Yeah.
And so that kind of, we keep going and we don't give up. I can see that being picked up by my kids.
That's cool.
Also them sort of picking up the things that work, like, they need to drink some water. Go outside, or these sorts of practical helps that we've built in. Like, I can see them going to those. I know what I need right now.
Yeah, becoming more aware of how to get out of the situation themselves. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it.
And just, I think in general, not not kind of dragging my whole family along with my sense of overwhelm. It's like, if I'm stressed out, everybody needs to be stressed out.
Yeah. Which is the cultural norm, right? If mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. Like, this sort of expectation that that's the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So my faster recovery time and ability to kind of, like, take a time out myself and do the things I know I need to do to come back and be present for my family has just made more peace and smoother transitions and handling unexpected changes better and things like that doesn't leak out.
I like that. It doesn't leak out. Oh man, it's such a picture of, it's so true though. We leak out onto people around us. If we don't deal with it, it comes out eventually.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good. As far as the program itself goes, talking about how Supermom is structured and stuff, what do you find is unique about this that offers in what it offers that maybe differs from other things out there that you can do support wise, that you find helpful?
I think, the group, having it be a group that we're working with you, is great, because you sort of get all of this secondary coaching and help from other people's, somebody else may be working through something that isn't exactly the same, but is sure relatable. And so it's just kind of exponentially helpful, because you're in a community where everybody's on the same path. And another thing that I think is so helpful is, like, I think as moms, we need and are looking for a kind of support and being seen and heard and known. And I know I can tend to, like, just take the being heard and seen part, and it ends there, and just kind of, like, we can talk about how hard it is and how challenging and the struggles and stuff. And I think that's valuable and important among friends and things. But I like about the group that I can come in like that. I mean, I can come in feeling stuck and needing a place to put stuff. But I know that I will always leave like with something else to work toward. Like I don't stay stuck.
You don't stay in that, you don't leave in the same place you came in with.
Right.
Yeah.
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 And I think that is very unique, that it's first like super customizable, like me and my particular day, you know, working with what is, but the kind of support and like championing things, and like knowing that it's coming. Like sometimes there is that, like, I don't even wanna.
There's that, I get it. It's the good in the hard of accountability anytime. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
but having it built in, like we were talking about at the beginning, it's built in. I know it's there every week, so I can kind of come in whatever place I'm in.
Yeah.
And leave feeling expanded and refreshed and just reminded of what I know is true.
Yeah.
Really true, instead of what my brain is telling me is true about whatever hard thing there is in the moment, you know?
Sure. Yeah, that makes so much sense. And I think you're hitting on something that we've talked about a number of times, both in sessions and even with others in the group. Sometimes there is the temptation of, I don't really want to show up for the, like, I don't really want to do this call, but then often you know that it ends up feeling better on the other side. So you show up anyway, because you get what you need. So
and so often, like, the very thing that feels impossible is like the thing that is the key to turning a door to something I didn't know was there, you know?
Yeah. Which is why having a coach is so valuable, right? Because I think for any of us, it's so hard to see those things. Like, we're so in our own head, we can't see how that works. It seems impossible that the thing that I'm annoyed most about would be the answer that solves the problem, just if you look at it a little differently. So it's valuable to have a group, have community.
It is. And the fact that you are clear, that you are like there to point us to Jesus, and like we'll get out of the way for him to work, and encourage us to get out of our own way to see him work. You know, like the fact that the whole thing is grounded in, like, it's his strength. We don't have it. We're not supposed to have it. We're not supposed to. And I think that sometimes some other like mom support groups can be like, you've got this, you have what it takes, which, like, in the context of what God has equipped us for is true, but it can be this kind of subtle, like,
pull yourself up by your own bootstraps kind of feel. Yeah.
And not have the underlying rest of, like, this is, God's got all the results we're looking for, and his, you know, he's more invested in our kids' well-being than we ever will be, and our own 100%. Well-being than we ever will be. And so that's super valuable and unique, I think, to this group.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love the fact that it all goes back to Jesus. And honestly, if it wasn't all going back to Jesus, I wouldn't want to be doing it. Like, because it's not, it doesn't have any solid foundation underneath it if it doesn't. So that's good. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. Is there anything you think you wish either that you knew about Supermom School before you got started, or you think it would be super valuable for other people to know before you get started?
I think what's great is the mix of very practical help that the group offers. I mean, like you've given access to so much training and I mean, like the mindset work and very, very like practical things to pick up and try on in daily life. But there's like the mix of that and the very interactive, you know, relationships and the sort of one-on-one coaching. So I think it's good for kind of whatever personality type. And I don't know, it's kind of a one size fits all and very adaptable to making it work for your own life. You know, it's not like a program like implement these 17 steps and we will get from A to Z. There are a lot of steps available that can get plugged in, but it's like, yeah, I think there's just so much flexibility for how it can be tailored to a particular family's needs and a particular woman's needs. And yeah, I just think you do a great job of having it be like a lot of tangible things to offer and a lot of space.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, I was actually, you said the word tailored, and that's what I was thinking of. I was thinking it's kind of like going to a tailor. Like instead of buying a suit off the rack or a dress that's, you know, you've got these 3 sizes and you can pick small, medium, or large. It's like going to a tailor and saying, I need a dress, you know, and the tailor's like, oh, we got dresses, we got suits, whatever. And now let's fit it to who you are and what size you are and shape and what your needs are and all of that. I, yeah, definitely want it to be something that serves you in your unique situation. So that's good to hear that's working. That's awesome.
Working.
Yeah, awesome. So so just to wrap up here, if anybody's interested in Supermom School, they can go to supermomschool.com. Melissa, if anybody comments and they have questions, do you mind answering any questions that somebody, you can kind of give them some firsthand basis?
Yes, I'd love that.
Awesome. Yeah. Yep. And this year we have a couple of different options that we've created. We have the first class package, which is every single week, and that's what you're doing right now. And signed up for another year, which I'm super excited about having you in our program. Somebody asked me recently, actually, this is really before I tell you about the other package. Somebody asked me like, oh, do people sign up again because they didn't get what they needed? And so they have to keep going because they didn't get what they needed. What would you say to that?
I get that.
Yeah.
And I think like what I found is it just like, it doesn't matter how much I know, I need to be in a community that reminds me, you know, and that like, and new stuff comes up. And so it's not so much like, oh, I just need a little bit more. And then, and then I'll have gotten it. It feels like it's more an intentional way of ordering my life around the kind of people that can help me do what I'm wanting to do.
Well, yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, thank you for answering that. I think that's something that people ask about on a pretty regular basis, and so that's helpful to kind of have your perspective of that. Yeah. So anyway, the basic package that we've opened up this year, partly because of the recession that's, you know, headed our way and wanting to create more availability for people, we've got a basic package that allows people to do once a month coaching and access all the training and everything, as well as a whole host of things that are available there. It just doesn't include as much one-on-one interaction with the coaching, but but still extremely valuable. So there's a couple different price points now that people have access to be able to get in. So if anybody has any questions about that, you can message me, you can talk to Melissa about the program. And but yeah, thank you so much, Melissa, for coming on and talking about your experience. And I'm just super excited that you're in the program and that we're doing this together. It's a lot of fun.
Me too. Thanks, Mary. This was
Yeah,
great.
awesome.